Oh, okay. Right. Okay. So I've seen the Odyssey. I finally saw it, and here are my thoughts on it. So, like when I left the cinema, I was just kind of like, "What?" Uh. Anyway, I've had a chance to think about it now, and I think this film is very disappointing. I think it's a very disappointing film. There's a lot of critics, like a lot of, critics on Rotten Tomatoes, like proper like film critics and stuff, all praising it and saying how wonderful it is and how amazing it is, and it's a 5-star thing. And I found it very disappointing. I'm sorry. Yeah, I just found it very disappointing. Maybe it's a thing where I need to watch it again. I need to watch it a second time to truly like appreciate it. Maybe it's one of those types of films because Christopher Nolan's films are a bit like that. Like Tenet. No. To be honest with you, like Tenet, not Tenant, Tenet. I got it. I understood what was going on, and if there were some things I didn't understand or things I was just a bit like, bit thick on, at the very least, I could like come away from that film feeling like I'd I'd been given some pretty good action set pieces, some explosions, some fight scenes and whatnot. Like at least I came away from a spectacle, and I could and I could look at it and go, yeah, the plane scene where they crashes into the building, that was quite good. Yeah, that was pretty good. And the going backwards thing is kind of interesting. And then rewatching it again and seeing it again, you understand it a little bit more. So maybe this is the same thing, but I think the reason why I'm disappointed, and actually to be honest with you, my hype for this film like died completely like a couple of months ago because there was all this controversial stuff about Helen of Troy being black and Elliot Page and whatnot and all this sort of stuff. And it's not that I hate all that, and I'll talk about that in a little bit more. But like when I started, when I saw things, like saw the trailer and whatnot and all that, I said to myself, okay, right, I don't think this is going to be the big swords and sandals historical epic movie that I want. Like this isn't going to be Lawrence of Arabia or Gladiator, or it's not going to be Ben-Hur. It's not going to be one of those great movies. It's going to be just this typical Nolan movie where it's edited in a weird way where like the beginning is at the end and then the end is at the beginning and then the middle bit is all spread out all over the place. And again, that is something really, like, this film should have been more linear. This film should have been more like in the right order, in the correct order, like that, like, because the film starts off with they're at the banquet. Tom Holland's character Telecamacus or whatever his name is. He's just like, oh, my dad, he'll come back, blah 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 blah. They're at the banquet. Robert Pattinson is being a dick, yada yada yada. And then it then cuts back and forth and stuff like that and things like that. And for me, it didn't really quite hook me. Until we saw the actual Trojan horse bit. Like when we actually saw like the Trojan horse being taken into the city of Troy. Like that scene was pretty cool. I thought that was pretty cool, and it's like that bit needed to happen earlier in the film. And like there's some really really good scenes in this film. There's a good scene with the Cyclops. There's a good scene with the giants. These are all good scenes. They're all good scenes. And there's a good bit with Samantha Morton's character. She plays like a sort of a witch who turns all of them into pigs. That was all good. But I watched like Mark Commode's review. He was saying how wonderful and amazing that scene was, and I didn't think it was like I think he overhyped it a little bit, and like, yeah, it was good, but it wasn't like, oh wow, yeah, this is amazing. It was interesting how they transformed into pigs. That was interesting. And then yeah, there was a whirlpool scene where then they got attacked by some monster. There were sirens. The siren bit was interesting. You didn't really see the sirens. They were just sort of like on a rock in the ocean, just like chilling. You didn't really hear them singing. You didn't really see them. They're supposed to be like beautiful sirens. They're supposed to be like it's really sexy and stuff. But it was an interesting way of how we did it. As I say, like, there's some good scenes. There was a good bit with Charlize Theron. It kept cutting back and forth to that. She looked nice. She looked nice in the film. But yeah, anyway, like it had good bits. There was a bit with the Army of the Dead. I thought that bit was boring. Sorry. I didn't really know what anybody was saying half the time. As well, I will just say this as well, like in the interviews and stuff like that, and in all all the behind the scenes stuff, people are just talking about the camera. They're just talking about it's filmed with IMAX and it's amazing and yes, it was such a big camera and it was so noisy and we it made such a noise and we had to create this mirror system, blah 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 blah. We're so amazing. And I honestly, I couldn't give a flying bell end what camera you're using for your film. Okay, I could not give a shit about the camera. Just make a good movie. Make a good movie with good sound and good visuals. Like, for instance, like 300. I like that movie. I think it's a good movie. Yeah, sure, it's very stylized and, there's a lot of CGI and stuff like that, but it's a good movie, right? I don't care how you make a good movie, just make a good movie, like CGI or no CGI, it's whatever. But they made that movie for like 60, 70 million. They shot it with digital cameras. The Greeks look like Greeks, the Persians look like Persians, and the movie was a giant success. It probably made more money than this film. Like if I was a filmmaker, I wouldn't really care about, oh yes, we need to film that on location, blah blah blah. No, I care about efficiency. That's what I would care about. I would be like, okay, yeah, let's film it in a sound stage, because then the sound will work. The sound won't be so shit. In all honesty, does it look better than, like, does this IMAX camera, does the film look better than digital? Like, if I throw up these pictures here and say, here's a digital movie, here's Mad Max Fury Road, are you telling me that this film looks better than Mad Max Fury Road, which was shot with digital cameras? Because if you're saying that, then you're an idiot. Because Mad Max Fury Road looks amazing. It looks gorgeous. All the colours, everything pops. Everything looks amazing. I don't really understand the whole thing about filming with film instead of digital. It doesn't make a difference to me. Just make a good film. And actually, like as I said, like efficiency. If you're making a movie with a noisier camera, a heavier camera, it's costing you more money. It's more expensive. Then what's the point if it's just going to end up looking like this when you could make it look like this? Anyway, on to the controversial stuff. So a lot of people have basically been saying that the whole casting with Lupita Nyong'o, Elliot Page, blah 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 blah, they're all every single positive review I've heard is basically just like, oh, it's only in it for 4 minutes. It's only there for 4 minutes, so it's a nothing burger. It's a nothing burger. It's really nothing. My question to that, my response to that is, okay, fair enough. If it's such a nothing burger, if it's just 4 minutes, then what was the point? What was the point in causing a big controversial thing around this movie? What was the point in pissing people off? What was the point in pissing off all of Greece? All the Greek people are not happy about this casting. What was the point? And actually, having watched the film, looking at it, I'm thinking, yeah, I mean, they could have just cut all that out. They could have cut all that stuff out. Like that stuff didn't even need to even be there. Like you didn't need to find out what happened to Agamemnon. You could just have a character say he got killed there when he got home, or not even bother mentioning him at all, because this whole film is just all about Odysseus. It's about Odysseus trying to get home after the Trojan War. So you could have just completely, like, you have Agamemnon there at the beginning, and then he's just like, right, see ya, Odysseus. Have a nice boat trip. Hope you get home safe. And then that's it. He's out of the movie for the rest of the film. You didn't need Tom Holland's character, whatever his name is, going to Sparta to talk to Menelaus. You didn't need that. You didn't need Helen of Troy. You could have mentioned her a few times, but you didn't actually need to actually show her. You could have just left that, because that's not integral to the story. The story is just Odysseus going on all these adventures, going back home. That's about it. So, the film could have been shorter. It didn't need to be 2 hours and 50 minutes long. It's just pointless. And okay, with Elliot Page, with Elliot Page. Again, I've got no problem with like trans people or whatever. Go live your life. Do you. Casting them in this film is distracting, and you're putting a big old spotlight on it. If I was then to say, well, I didn't think Elliot Page's performance in the film was very good. I don't think they worked. I'm sorry. I don't think I don't think that performance was very good. Sorry. Then people are going to be like, oh, you just hate him because blah 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 blah. And it's just like, no. I just feel like it was just pointless. You could have got any other actor for that. You could have saved yourself some money. People wouldn't be talking about this. People wouldn't be debating this online. This is partly the reason why I don't want there to be a black James Bond, because I don't want it to be a big political thing. I don't want it to be a big, like, political, like, oh, we need to talk about, that and blah, blah, blah. I don't want that. I just want to go and see the film and enjoy it. And it's the same thing here with, like, Helena Troy and Elliot Page and all of the, colourblind casting. I mean, don't get me wrong. Hamish Patel, he was good in the film. I liked him. I remember watching him in EastEnders. That's when I used to watch EastEnders, and he's a good actor, and I'm really happy for him that he's in all these big movies now. He was in Tenet, and he was in Yesterday, and he's in this, and it's just like, great, cool, good for you. But does he look Greek? Again, it doesn't really matter all that much, because I thought he was okay in the film, and he could probably pass as a Greek. I mean, Greek people, you'd be surprised actually. Like, if you see a Greek person, there's no specific kind of look for a Greek person. It's just kind of like, they're kind of like a different shade of Caucasian, or a little bit brown, a little bit tanned, but you can have blonde haired Greeks. I don't have an issue with John Leguizamo in the film either. Like, he's Hispanic, or he's what I'm not sure what he is. Is he Cuban or Mexican, or he's Latino or whatever? Anyway, point is, he could pass for a Greek, absolutely, and that's what it's about. It's not about if you are Greek or not. It's about whether you can pass for a Greek. So yeah. So I don't think any actor in this really wowed me. I mean, I think Matt Damon was okay in the film. Casting Matt Damon is a good idea, because you need that big actor to be in the film. You need that, like, strong leading man type actor to anchor this film. Everybody else, they didn't wow me. Tom Holland didn't wow me. Anne Hathaway didn't wow me. None of them wowed me, and I couldn't really hear anything that they were saying, to be honest with you, because the sound was weird. So yeah, what else can I really say? I mean, I liked the third act. I thought that was good, and I think to end on a positive note, like, I liked the whole thing with the bow, where he was attaching the bow with the string to the bow. I thought that was good, and then he goes brung like that, flicks it, and then it makes a noise. But like the big fight at the end, I didn't really see what the hell was going on. It was all shaky cam. It was all shaky cam close up. Couldn't really make out what was going on, to be honest with you. It was just madness. And so that's another thing as well, like the choreography. There wasn't really a good fight scene in this film. There wasn't really a good, like, sword fight. I did like the bit where there was the black Greek guy, when he says, "You're Odysseus," when he saw him, and then he gets shot in the neck. That was cool. Actually, to be honest with you, I did quite like Robert Pattinson's performance. Robert Pattinson was he was playing a dickhead. He was playing a snivelling, slimy slime ball. So he was good. And when he got killed at the end, I thought, yeah, cool. That was nice. That was good. He deserved that. But again, as well, I'm not sure about the ending. Like, did he die? Or was it ambiguous? Did he actually live? Like, because he got shot with arrows and stuff like that. Odysseus, that is. He got shot with arrows and he got stabbed in the neck. Did he die? Did he actually die? Or because the ending, it kind of reminded me of The Dark Knight Rises, when, like, Alfred sees Bruce at the end. So was it a bit like that? Was it a bit ambiguous like that? Maybe. I don't know. I might need to see it again just to sort of, process it, perhaps. Maybe process it differently. But as I say, there's good scenes here and there. Like, it's very woo, like, up and down. And I feel like they should have put it in the correct order, or should have just done less of this non-linear stuff, like, because I don't mind that. Like, Guy Ritchie does that, Christopher Nolan does that all the time. I think he did it too much in this film. I think he did it too much, and it's all in the wrong order. I don't think this is one of Christopher Nolan's best films. I don't. I think like Prestige is probably one of his best films. I think Inception is is good, is really good. The Batman trilogy is very good. Even Dark Knight Rises, I quite like that. And then, of course, Dunkirk, Interstellar, Oppenheimer was okay. I've only seen that once, though, and I didn't really, like, love it. I thought it was okay, but I didn't really, like, love it. Yeah, I think that movie was way overrated. Yeah, and I think that this film is very, very way overrated as well. A disappointment. Again, I'll have to see it again, but I think he had all the right things there. Everything was there. It just needed to be in the right order. And I think this film would have been much better. And I think you could have shortened it as well. You could have cut out Helen of Troy. You could have cut out Tom Holland going to Sparta. Didn't need to be 2 hours and 50 minutes long. I wouldn't recommend this film to anyone. I wouldn't recommend it to my hairdresser. You know, I wouldn't say, hey, you should go check out that movie. No, no. So yeah, a bit of a disappointment, but hey, it's my opinion, and you don't have to like it. But that's just my first viewing. I'll check it out again, but not at the cinema. I'm not going to go to the cinema to see it. I'll watch it on Blu-ray or whatever, or TV or whatever. Anyway, that's it. I'm done. Thank you for watching. Goodbye. Goodbye.